It's time for Normalville. It's time for Normalville. It's time for Normalville. Gonna get a little crazy like you know we will.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 21 of the Abnormal Hour. I am your host Alex Rennie with my partner
Frank Gillibrand. Yeah.
And both Frank and I, man, we both agreed that our last episode was by far, I think, our greatest. And a lot of that is thanks to our guest, Mike Rosigliano, who was there. Such a cool show. Such a cool episode.
Yeah, he raised our game, right?
He totally did.
That was amazing. We are forever raised.
Raised the bar. So, Mike, if you are watching this, which we hope you now become a fan of ours, we want to thank you yet again for just everything you did. And he actually drew a cartoon, which we'll share with you in a moment. And yeah, very, very cool. That aside, I do want to do a quick shout out. So today was my last day of driving the school bus, at least for the school year, because school let out today. And you know, I had a great year. It was my first year ever driving a school bus. All my kids were K through 6. And I got to say, guys, my kids from St. Benedict's and St. Gerard's, 2 different schools, thank you guys. If you're watching this, they might be watching this because I gave them a thank you. I showed them the cartoon that they inspired of the diarrhea bus driver, which was such a great one. And I just said thank you for the fun and adventures. And with that, I do want to read, I just thought this was the cutest thing. So there's a brother, sister, they're twins, Ingrid and Conrad. And they gave me a thank you card. And Conrad just wrote something that made me laugh, and I think it'll make you guys laugh too. I'll start with Ingrid. It says, "Dear Alex, thanks for being a great bus driver this year. Enjoy your summer. I hope to see you next year, from Ingrid." Thank you, Ingrid. And Conrad wrote, "Dear Alex, you were by far the best tattooed cartoonist bus driver anyone could have. I'll miss you a ton, Conrad." The tattoos, cartoonist bus driver. I just thought that was adorable.
I think we need to have him on the show.
Get Conrad on the show. He's a bright kid, man. I think he'd really like it. So that's awesome. So thank you for that, Conrad. You gave us a laugh.
He's got to be good at something. We'll get him to do expert advice on whatever he does well. I'm sure.
You know, there might be a cartoon there, and here's why. Conrad was infamous for saying, "Do you know I know how to make there's a certain poison you make with apples. What is that? A cyanide." He's like, "I learned the recipe for cyanide." And then he was talking about how to make a small little incendiary bomb. Like, this kid, he's really smart, but he's using his powers for bad.
Oh, so he's the one, you know, we had the anti-gravity or
little Johnny.
Little Johnny. Yeah.
Little Conrad.
Little Conrad.
There might be a story there of little Conrad making incendiary devices or cyanide from apples. I don't know. But yeah. Here we go. Fantastic.
And then with that, we're going to take the time to go back in time. Take time to go back in time to our last whiteboard. Let's go. Okay, folks, here we are at the last whiteboard. It was the whiteboard number 1, where we went from the news story, SpongeBob and popsicles and turtles flying through windows, and you mix that all together.
Well, what had happened was, if you remember, Mike said we were talking about weird collections because the SpongeBob stuff. And then he said he had 6,000 hats. He had a hat collection. And I thought he had said he had a head collection because he made the paper mache, art. And I thought he had made paper mache heads, and which in turn prompted a frozen head collection in which the wife would just be.
But It's so interesting that you thought he said heads, and you went, could be.
Well, not real heads.
And you thought it was feasible that he had a head collection.
So this was the whiteboard, and this is what it would look like if he actually had a head collection.
Oh, I tell you.
That's funny stuff, man. Happy birthday, honey. I know you're a huge Whitney Houston fan. And William's tolerance for her husband's famous frozen heads collection had reached its breaking point. I just wanted to try to capture, a look of absolute horror and disgust.
Right.
Like, no.
Like she had gotten used to Attila the Hun, Einstein, right? She's like, oh, right, I'll let it go. And then it's Whitney Houston.
her favorite musician, right? Oh, man.
Oh, I wonder what planet, it's abnormal planet that they come from.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is our alternate reality.
Yeah, this was a dark one, but it was funny, man. It was, I just thought it was so great. And then, what the awesome thing was, we had whiteboard number 2, which was drawn by Mike in the most old school of ways.
No kidding.
Put on a white pad of paper.
Yeah.
So this was a screenshot from that.
We have whiteboard. He has white paper.
White paper. And we went, somehow it was about like the weird haircuts or whatever and taking too much off. And this was the final result, which is just brilliant, man.
No kidding. I like the way the guy is leaving. His ear is bleeding.
This is my favorite part too. Like, yep, that's what I was expecting.
And the guys are waiting. They're not even put off.
The eyes closed, like, and you could tell Mike is a master of his craft just by this, right? Like, so good. Yeah, I'm just blown away. And and the fact that he did a cartoon for us, as like a guest artist for Abnormalville is just the coolest thing ever.
Yep, totally.
Yeah.
This isn't what I meant when I said clean up the sides.
And I love that there's the Van Gogh picture over here, right? Yeah. The Starscape or whatever it's called. It's just so awesome, man. Like, yeah, that's great. So thank you for that, Mike. That was absolutely fantastic. Now this takes us to the next section of our show, our news break. So Frank, share with people today our first news story.
Alrighty. Man swallowed by whale.
Oh, I heard about this guy.
See?
Yeah.
Here, let me tell you about it. So a lobster diver near Provincetown was having a very productive day. Michael Packard free dives for lobsters, and his haul for the day was over 100 pounds. He just had a good paying day. He was just going to go for one more dive.
The last one that kills you every time, man.
Yeah, I'm going to go one more. And then everything went black, right? And so he recognized the immediate danger. First thing he does is feel around for teeth. Because he's hoping that he's not inside a great white. So good thing he finds no teeth. So he's not inside a shark. It must be a whale. So after a while, he's not really sure, but it could be up to a minute that he was inside the whale. And the whale is just swimming around. So
and if he's free diving, he's not wearing any, he's just holding his breath at this point.
Yeah. And so he could feel the speed that this whale is going. And then all of a sudden it's thrashing left and right, and he's getting tossed around inside the whale. Next thing you know, and he's out of the whale, splash onto the water.
Wow.
So then lobster buddy picks him up on the boat, takes him to the hospital, get checked out. No broken bones. He's fine. But the first thing that he says in the interview, I want Matt Damon to play me in the movie.
That's crazy, man. That is that's unheard of. I was going to say, like, who on earth has that happened to that you've ever heard of prior to this?
Like a few thousand years. Yeah, you have Jonah. Right.
Yeah.
3 days. So this is only like a minute. That's nothing.
Captain Ahab, didn't he get swallowed by the whale too? Or
no, I don't think so.
Just lost a leg.
No. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, I heard about that guy. I just had never heard the full story. So that's crazy.
So what do you got for our news story today?
A Florida woman has apologized for running over a grandmother and her grandson at a park in Florida because she was trying to run over a different woman instead. Fedeline St. Felix drove her car through a fence onto a playground at Pompeo Beach Community Park, aiming for a different woman whom she was fighting with. Someone pushed that woman out of the way, and Fedeline says she couldn't find the brake and ended up hitting the grandmother and grandson instead. Neither the child nor the grandmother are seriously hurt. And Fedeline is, she was arrested and awaiting trial to see what's going to happen next.
Wow.
I know.
Only in Florida. Who could? What in the world were fighting over, right?
I don't know. And to be that mad that you're going to run them over and then run over the wrong people. Like, they actually interviewed this woman. She says, yeah, I was trying to run over this woman, and I ran over the wrong people. It was
she probably stole her husband, right? Yeah, he's 85. Because in Florida, they're all like ancient 70s.
Yeah, no,
80s.
these were actually younger people, thank goodness. I think if it was an elderly grandma, it might have been a different story, right? Still scary. She hit a kid.
That's not cool.
Not cool.
Not cool.
Ridiculous. Yeah, she's going to be in big trouble for that one. So, and rightfully so.
Yikes.
But this now, after all this craziness of being swallowed by a whale and running over the wrong people, this leads us into our very first whiteboard of the day.
Okay. Okay, folks, we are coming to our whiteboard, our first whiteboard of the day, and we were scratching our heads. Whale eats man, meh. Lady runs over wrong person, meh. Let's go with sharks, yeah.
Messy room.
Yeah, we have a teenage shark, and he's got a messy room, and somehow he's being scolded by his mother about cleaning up his room. And we're going to have just skeletons of various things throughout his room. Oh, what are we going to have? So,
it's just going to be like...
Yeah, maybe that's a skeleton of a dolphin, right? There's a skeleton of a person.
And there needs to be like half-eaten, maybe there's a leg that's still, still partially there. Right, like the wetsuit sitting there, because I was telling Frank, I think of my son's room and stuff, and I find like unfinished dinner plates in his room and things like this, and angry shark.
So this is what would happen if your son was a great white shark. This is what his room would look like. This is
I
where
keep
Mike's
thinking
wife.
back to what Mike said. It looks almost childlike. That's because this program doesn't work the way you want it to. But yeah, something like this. I think we're onto something, right?
He's got an apron. Yeah.
We said we weren't going to go dark, and we did. We tend to always.
Well, we could say, we tried.
We tried.
We gave it a real good shot.
We earnestly tried not to go dark. All right, so that is it for whiteboard number 1. This now leads us to a brand new segment. Frank, tell everybody what it is.
Wow, we're going to call this Blast from the Past.
Blast from the past, searching for that golden memory. Blast from the past, it's a treasure that we won't ever want to see.
Sexy man.
It's too sexy for my shit.
Sexy for my body.
Okay, we're reading.
So it's funny because I should have had these queued up. We start with the recap from last week, and I don't have these things.
You don't have it. Perfect. This is how real this show is, folks. That's something the other shows are lacking, is realism.
Realism. What we lack is professionalism.
Oh, that's overrated. Anybody can do professionalism. You just hire people.
Right?
We have realism.
Realism. We are a down and dirty show.
That's something you can't buy.
Yep, this is not happening, man.
Now you're annoying me. There's realism and then there's incapable.
There's incompetence.
There's incompetence and then there's realism. You cross the line.
There we go. Now I should have had those queued up. This is a good learning experience. So.
Okay.
Right on. We are queued.
Gotta go this week. Okay.
So as we start every segment, we do a recap of last week's show.
The half embarrassing thing is that I'm wearing the same shirt.
I was gonna say you dressed exactly the same as in episode number 1. You had the same shirt, the same hat.
So,
you said it first. I was gonna bring that up. Like, holy cow, Frank!
Well, I make a habit of every 20 episodes wearing the same thing. So.
That is pretty funny, man.
So we get more budget for wardrobe. Is what it is.
It's a great shirt. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that was like me stretching. It's reminiscent of Johnny Carson, Ed McMahon, right? If Johnny was stumbling, then Ed would just fill right in there, right?
All right, man. Well, that was a pretty fun blast from the past. I will say what we learned there, viewing audience, was we thought we were going to cue things up and pop it up, on the spot and make it just like roll in one shot. No, we learned from that very first episode that was not going to happen. And we cut away and splice things in post, and that is how you get the final result.
Quite shocking that we weren't professional right out of the gate. Who would have bet that?
Who would have known?
Yeah, and now we are always prepared.
Always, even when we're not. Right on.
Right.
All right, my man. Well, this now leads us into our next section, which is Expert Advice with Frank Hildebrandt.
Oh, yeah.
And now, Expert Advice from the expert.
Frank, share with us today's expert advice.
Today, I'm going to talk about changing frets on a guitar. So I have, my Yamaha, nice guitar, and it was buzzing right around the 4th fret here. So then I decided to take matters into my own hands, and I grabbed a file and was like, I'm going to teach you a lesson. And I was like, whoops, way too low. So then it's hooped. Now you're into it. So then I was like, I looked at them, and actually guitar frets do wear down just by playing. string rubbing on, you develop tiny little grooves in the guitar
Yeah, it
frets.
would make sense, especially if
Yeah,
you're playing certain notes over others, right?
over and over and over, right? So I replaced the frets all the way up till the top of the seventh. Those are the most common ones to play, right? So I take them out with, I took a pair of electrical cutters and then ground them right flat on the grinder.
Yeah, because they're always got that little scoop in there naturally.
That's right. They're rounded in there so that you can get right tight and scoop the guitar fret and pull it up out of the slot that it's in.
Mm-hmm.
They're slotted, and I'll show you that in a second because this is one that I've taken out. Turn it sideways, and so it has a stem, and the stem has barbs on it. So you'll pound that into the slot, and the barbs will hold it in place. And you buy guitar fret material in a length. This is a remainder because it was originally about this long, right? So you chop off what you need and you buy it rounded like this. So it'll, because the neck on a guitar is not flat, it's round. And that way, squishes into place. See, there's a vise there where I'll put it on my desktop and use some protective material. I'll get the frets in place and then put the neck inside the vise with rubber protectors and just squish it right tight and press the frets right into the stem so they're nice and tight. You have to have something extremely flat, like extreme. So a carpenter's plane I had was nice and flat metal, and you use it to check whether a fret is high, and it'll give a tick, right? So this is how you can make sure that you're leveling it just right by filing down a little bit like this, and then grabbing sandpaper like this, and then grabbing sandpaper like this, which is like 1200 grit.
Yeah, you're going finer and grittier.
Yeah, that's right. You go coarse, medium, crazy fine, and then you make it smooth, right? And I'm still fine tuning because it involves stringing the guitar, then checking it to see if anything buzzes, and to make it perfect. And it affects the intonation, how long it'll sustain a note.
Now, I noticed there's glue in the background. Did you glue the fret in? Because you said it was barbed, that you could just squeeze it.
Yeah, you can. I put a little bit of glue in the channel because it's just a tiny bit more solid. Solid equates to sustain, how long it'll hold a note.
Now, will that affect it later if you needed to replace it again? Is that going to become problematic with the glue?
So now you be extra careful how you pull it out so you don't flake the wood in here.
Yeah.
But this is rosewood, which is the extremely dense wood. It doesn't get much more dense than that, so it doesn't flake like regular lumber that you're used to, right? It's super hard, very dense. But that said, yeah, you protect as you go and as you're wiggling, trying to get the fret out.
I just had an idea for a cartoon when you said that. The play on words, an incredibly dense wood.
Yeah, the poor rosewood, he's always dense. Even from little, he's just dense. But he can sustain.
This is how they determine the density of wood. They're taking math equations or something.
I love that. Okay, that's going to be our next cartoon.
Sorry.
Right on.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Look,
I don't know
never happened before. I truly do admire you because you are an amazing handyman. There's like the handyman who can do things around the house, and then there's the handyman who does it all. Frank does it all, and I give you a lot of credit for that, man. Well done. Good job.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you for that expert advice, my friend. Cool. And that will now lead us to whiteboard number 2.
Okay, folks, here's our whiteboard number 2, which came about spontaneously from Alex's keen mind, who, never let anything pass by. That's right, dense wood.
Or how do you figure out the density of wood or whatever it is.
Yeah, and the sound of dense wood.
And I had this just in my head where you see like these logs like they're at school, right? And they're taking like IQ tests or something like that, right? And then that's how they figure out the density of wood.
That's how they figure out the density of wood.
That was fast.
There we go.
Well, we got the
Density
idea
of
a
wood.
moment ago, so we just kind of put it to paper, right? Or in this case, to pad. Right
And
on,
this-
my friend.
That cartoon could catch on. It could just be posted at all kinds of wood lumber places, whatever, right?
Yeah, I really want to suss it out, but Frank and I are having a little bit of we had a long day leading into today. I think if we just brainstorm it a little more, we'll figure out, because I really do think there's an A plus joke there if we can just get all the nuance right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and we will.
Yeah.
Just not today on our show. Again, like Mike would say, here's the child rendition and the final one. I can't wait to see what the final is going to be, right? So,
But it better be nothing like the child one.
no, it never is. It never is. No.
No.
All right. Well, this leads us into our very final segment of the day, which is Did You Know?
Know.
Okay, folks, here we are at Did You Know? And we're going to change things up a little bit. And Alex is going to do our Did You Know? And it might turn into Should You Know? We'll see about that.
So today's Did You Know deals with bridges, like actual bridges that cars drive on and this and that. So can you take a guess as to what the smallest international bridge connecting two different countries in the world is? The smallest one. How big do you think it is?
So I imagine it's sometimes a river or will divide two countries. So maybe it's only across the river. Maybe it's only 30 feet.
Wow, dude. That is an incredible guess. Because you're only 2 feet off.
Wow.
The Zavikan Island is home to a bridge that at only 32 feet in length is considered the shortest international bridge in the world. It connects a Canadian island with an American island in the middle of the St. Lawrence River. So you were right about the river part.
Wow. That's pretty
huh?
cool. That's pretty cool.
I'm shocked that you got, like, I would have never in a million years guessed 30 feet. It was 32. So well done, Frank. Well done. And that is today's Did You Know?
That's the shortest Did You Know ever.
Yep. Well, everyone, that wraps up episode number 21. Frank, again, thank you for this, man. This was fun as always. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon. I want to say next week, but we know that's not going to happen.
No,
So,
we'll say. Till next time.
till next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
And now we're leaving. We gotta go. And now we're leaving. It's the end of our show. We had a good time. It's come to an end. We hope you had a good time. A good time, my friend. And now we're leaving. That's the end of our show. And now we're leaving. We gotta go.